Bums Town. Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche pregame show for some afternoon hockey live from the Toyota Lounge, powered by your Front Range Toyota dealerships. We got Bailey and Rudo coming to you live. The Avs taking on Boston for the second and final time this regular season, getting this one out of the way early. It's the front half of a back-to-back too. Always a bit of weirdness with matinee games. I will say this, Bailey. Avs have given up the first goal of the game 4 games in a row now. Can they get off to a better start with the afternoon game?
That's the hope, if you can avoid some of the weirdness that usually comes with these.
Yep.
Add on to it that it is the first game of a back-to-back, and that doesn't... I don't know. Those are always kind of up in the air for me. The hope is that, especially given how the last 2 games went, that they realize that something needs to get clicking a little bit earlier, and that first goal usually starts to set the tone.
It would be... just makes your life easier to play from ahead. Put it to you that way.
Certainly would help my heart rate.
Especially these last couple where we've watched the Avs fight and claw to get themselves back into games a little bit. Don't do that to yourself.
No. That's just more work down the end of the 60 games or 60-minute stretch. It's... if you can play a consistent game and avoid having to claw your way back out of a hole, not only are you going into the game with more confidence, but I mean, being able to play a consistent game is all you really want, all you can hope for, and it sets yourself up for better games down the road, down the line, and I don't know. It's you think they learned something. You hope.
You hope so. Bednar being consistent with his starting goaltender. Looks like Wedgwood did leave the Avs out for warm-up, so he is expected to be the starter. This conversation is weird at this point because on the one hand, Minor played well, so you'd love to give him another start. On the other hand, Wedgwood played a grand total of 14 minutes last game, so he should be fresh. But now you're having a conversation of, does Minor get New Jersey tomorrow? I don't hate putting Wedgwood into this game, and Bednar very historically is trying to win the game he's in, not too much planning ahead for the next one. I'm curious, though, Bailey, forget what the Avs are going to do. Would you like to see Minor either today or tomorrow?
Given the performance that he put up against Carolina, I'd love to see him get in a game. I've kind of been of the mindset, if Blackwood had been out more than 2 weeks, it seems unreasonable for Minor to not at least get a game until Blackwood comes back, or at least one to himself get the start.
Yeah, a real start.
Right. Wedgwood, as much as I think he's capable of holding this team up, hasn't really played like this in his career before. And
it's true.
There's something to be said about fatigue and, you know, him being sustainable down the road. And as much as I am not surprised that he did get the start today, I wouldn't have minded seeing Minor after that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised when Wedgwood also starts tomorrow, because that's what Jared Bednar does. When he feels like he needs wins, he will just ride his starter.
Oh, yeah.
So I do think that's what's going to happen. Obviously, this Blackwood situation continues to develop, where at the start of the year, they're like, oh, it'll be a couple weeks. And now it's been 2.5 weeks and he's still out.
The expectation was the first week or two.
Yeah.
And
so
it's just frustrating at that point, but that's hockey.
Yep.
I think. So he looks close. I will say that. I was at Injured Skate yesterday and he looks really good.
Great.
So that's positive.
Does he look good enough to play tomorrow?
I wish. So the expectation, when Bednar talked about it after post game, he was asked if Blackwood would be going on the trip, and Bednar very much so seemed like he had not made his mind up yet. So that to me is a sign of good news.
Sure. It's not just a pre-made decision,
Right.
for sure.
So
All right.
I feel like that has to spell something worth, good news coming here in the next week.
Yep. And this is not about Wedgie playing poorly. This is about load management more than anything.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, you want to see Wedgwood bounce back and get back to having quality starts in this game, but there are more glaring issues to talk about.
I was going to say, if I'm going to quote Kale as tightly as possible, it takes everybody.
Yep.
It's not just on Wedgie, and there's a lot of other things to talk about as far as problems where this team is concerned.
Let's jump into one of those with the power play. They do score a power play goal yesterday, but ultimately end the game 1 for 8.
It took them 8 tries.
It's pretty bad. That's not the type of power play effectiveness you want to have. Let me start with the obvious question. The power play goal they score involves Val Nichushkin scoring on power play 1. You have to run it back with that, right?
I'd imagine that's where they're headed, especially given how Nichushkin's played 5-on-5. He's proven to be the best guy on his line. He's got, I don't know what it is, but it's it.
It's working for him, for sure.
Yeah, so he's rushing well. He's moving well with pucks. It, for me, seemed a little inevitable for him to finally make that jump up to power play 1.
Yeah.
Because, again, obviously, it's not just last game versus Carolina. Obviously, something had not been working, and it's something Bednar's been experimenting with. Something finally starts to click, and I don't know how you go into this game not realizing that maybe this is an extra push and jump that they need.
You had to do something, right? You were getting into a stretch where they'd gone 4 straight games without a goal, and then they get one in the game, they go 1 for 8. So even though they scored, you don't feel good about it. I think on top of that, it looked the worst it's looked at times last game, even with the large number of opportunities.
That's the thing for me, is the volume that they get on the man advantage,
Right.
and they can only convert on 1.
Right, and the Avs are one of the best teams in the league right now drawing penalties. They're getting plenty of opportunities there, but they have to score on them. And in your last like 15 to 20 attempts, your 1 power play goal is Victor Olofsson and Val Nichushkin, neither of which started this season on PP1 for you.
Right.
So I guess, and I don't want to dip too far into like doomerism here, because hopefully Val's on PP1 and it just works tonight.
Right.
But if they go 0 for again, if Val on that power play doesn't seem to help it, what do you do next?
That's the big question mark for me. And I go back to something Haxtell said at the beginning of the season of him working with the talent that he has and him not really having, it's more so just making sure that talent's coming alive in the power play. As far as structure, they have everything in place to do what they need to do, or at least that's the thought. For me, yes, talent is one thing, but talent alone is not going to win you games. It comes down to structure and forcing something that maybe is not as passive as it has been, and putting more shot volume on when they have those opportunities and chances. Things that we maybe saw earlier in the season, but have started to die down a little bit as you see the power play get experimented with and get worse and worse. So I think Haxtell kind of has to have a little bit more of a hands-on approach here.
I hope so. I hope, honestly, I'm not even asking for changes necessarily or fixing of systems. I just hope the puck starts going in.
Yeah.
I don't care what it looks like if the puck goes in the net, because that's what the Avs need out of their power play at this point. So
if it needs to be gritty, that's
fine. Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yep.
That the puck going in the net's what's gonna, change the tide, score goals. It doesn't need to be pretty. It doesn't need to be fancy, and that's something that I think the Avalanche are getting stuck in all facets of the game, not just the power play, is trying to be too fancy with it and trying to rely on that talent when in reality, maybe simplifying that game is where that needs to go.
Historically, an issue they love to fall into, especially at the top of this lineup. But I do want to talk about that 5-on-5 production because it's really, really good from Colorado right now. They are the team that averages the most shots on goal per game so far this season. Their scoring is genuinely elite, not based on unsustainable metrics. As a team, they're only shooting about 9.5%. Their save percentage is maybe a hair high at 92 point something at 5-on-5. But a PDO of 1.01 is within the realms of reasonable. And when you've seen how good their process is at 5-on-5, it's hard not to think they could be the best team in the league.
Yeah. The thing for me goes, though, you can be a great 5-on-5 team, but if you can't take opportunities when things are not 5-on-5, that's sometimes where
they matter for sure.
Games change. Yeah. And so if you can be the best 5-on-5 team in the league and not capitalize on those opportunities and create other opportunities for other teams to get the leg up. And that's where I kind of sit. I love what the Avs are doing so far when they can play their game. That is the big key here. They can get off to those proper starts and click and play a simple game and build from there, build on foundations. I love this team. I think it is ideally the most dangerous team in the league.
It certainly is capable of it and shows it plenty at 5-on-5. If they could just transfer that to special teams, maybe you'd feel a little bit better about it. But one of those options we can talk about both at 5-on-5 and if you're looking to change up some of those power play units. We saw Brindley get some PP2 time over these last couple of games. Every single Avs forward in the lineup has at least a point. They are getting enough production from the entirety of their lineup. And you know, you're not going to necessarily play Jack Drury on your power play or anything like that, but how important is it that the Avs continue to get scoring from everywhere? Because we know the Avs can fall back on their top line, right? When it comes down to it, they're extremely productive and they'll get you a long way. But how many nights, like a weird game potentially today against Boston, do they really need that depth scoring?
I think it's extremely important. You see a situation against Carolina where they kind of shorten the bench and rely on some of that. But if you can get that consistent production from all four lines among all 6 D-men, shortening the bench isn't going to change much.
Yep.
That's what I think draws the line between a good team and a great team, is being able to deploy the bottom 6 the way that Bednar has too. I mean, we've talked consistently over the last couple of weeks about how that third line has been one of the best for this Colorado team.
Yep.
That's terrifying.
Should be.
When you're looking at from other teams' eyes. And you see some of the chances that a guy like Josh Manson's taking too from the blue line. I mean, in Carolina alone, you run into a good goaltender. That's
crashing
unfortunate.
the net. Yeah.
But you see those opportunities that Josh Manson's taking, and I don't know how you look at that and say that that's not incredible and exactly what you want from this team. Again, it's what makes a good team an even better team.
You mentioned the defensive scoring as well. The Avs so far this year have 19 points from their defense. They're always at the top of the league when it comes to defensive production. However, last 2 games, last 2 losses, they only have 2 points from their defense, and both are Cale Makar. Manson getting involved is great, but there is no production in that last game. Devon Taves still sits at 0 points on the season. Can the Avs do something to activate that defense a little bit better and get them on the score sheet beyond Cale Makar just being the best player on the planet?
As much as this probably is not the answer other people want to hear, the chances are there. Okay. I think the opportunities are kind of creating themselves for some of these guys. Again, we talk about Josh Manson. Sam Malinsky kind of started to get involved a little bit. Yeah. I've really liked him over the last game or two. But I think once you start creating more and more of those chances, you give them the opportunities to get involved and push up. Those chances will come. As long as they continue playing solid games, simplistic games, and relying on their strengths, I don't see how it won't come. It again is just about setting a solid foundation for themselves to fall back on and taking those opportunities when they're there. If we're talking about defensive strengths, Devon Toews could absolutely work on that this season, though, as well.
Yeah, frankly, I'm not worried about it. These are talking points that I think matter, but the Avs have just been so good at 5-on-5, barring the big mistake. Obviously, that turnover from Makar the other night, stuff like that, you need to clean up. But their overall process at 5-on-5 has been so good, and they're getting rewarded for it. Mm-hmm. Even if you would like them to maybe finish a marginal bit better, they generate enough opportunities that they kind of overcome that lack of finishing by they're just going to keep shooting until one goes in. I do want to ask, though, is this a trap game? Because we even have seen our chat at the start of this pregame talking about the New Jersey team, not the Boston team that they're playing today. It feels a little trappy to me.
It's unfortunate that the games are falling where they do. I would have loved for the Avs to play New Jersey
flip-flop
first.
These, yeah.
At the same time, though, they're both matinee games. They're both going to be a little weird, or at least for us anyway. They're earlier games. I think if the Avs have done their homework and looked at the mistakes they've made over the last two games and then go back to the first Boston game they played and saw how great of a game it was, they know what they need to do to finish this one out strong.
Knowing is half the battle.
Right. Executing is different, but I think if they, again, it's playing smart. It's playing the way that they know how to play. I think if they can do what they need to do and not get themselves into a hole tonight, they're going to be set up to perform well against a New Jersey team tomorrow. And if they don't, they've got a second chance to do it very, very soon.
Avs historically have been incredibly good on the second half of back-to-backs. Mm-hmm. Not as good on the first half, but still a solid team. And we don't need to rehash every ounce of it because they played Boston 3 games ago even.
Yeah.
The Avs should be the better team on paper tonight, right? There's no doubt about that. And when you talk about a trap game where you're the favorite, it comes down to the details, right?
Right.
You have to be able to stick to doing the quality little things that make the difference in hockey games. And I want to start with the fact that the Avs are still top 10 in the NHL in face-off wins, which is a weird place to be for the Colorado Avalanche. They're not used to that. Jack Drury, 57% on the season. Nathan McKinnon, still 54% on the season. You also have Ross Colton, 50%, even though he's more playing wing at times this year. Mm-hmm. Nelson a little bit under and Kelly well under because we know he's not a center. But your top 3 centers are all getting the job done, if not more so than that, in the face-off dot. Does that really matter to you, Bailey? AJ and I have talked about this a lot on the show where face-offs only matter when they matter, but it has felt nice this year knowing they at least could win when those face-offs come up.
It certainly helps turn the tides when you know you can put a guy out there on an offensive zone draw and help increase your chances at putting the puck on the net sooner rather than later and having to set up. No, I'm of the mindset that it's a nice detail to have as long as it's doing well when it matters.
Yeah.
We saw a couple different times during overtime. You send a guy out there to win the faceoff, and you're immediately taking him off. I think that role is a very, very interesting one to pay attention to across the league. But when I don't know, it only matters when it matters. I'm kind of in that same boat.
Yeah. And
it is really nice to have, though. I know you and I have talked a lot about McKinnon, especially.
He's just been so bad at them for so long that it's like, oh, okay, we're in this room now. Circling back to what we talked about earlier with the Avs maybe getting off to a good start, getting that first goal of the game. When the Avs get up by 2 so far this season, they've not lost. They've put away games when they get ahead and manage that lead. Obviously, every team would love to get up by 2 every game. That's the idea. But is there something to be said about this Avs team who, when they fall behind, they don't quit and claw back in? and then when they get ahead, they put games away. Is this just the hardest team in the league to play against? Like, throw out the possession and the statistics and all of that. When it comes to just purely game situations, do the Avs have a little bit of that extra something that they call it veteran presence, call it will to win, whatever you want to call it? They close out games when they put themselves in the position to win.
No, they do. And that's ideally when they get their good starts and they get they play the way that they need to. This is a team I don't think any team wants to come up against and have to worry about.
Yep.
But that's the trick, is them having that good management and playing the way that they need to and not falling into holes early. Gabe Landeskog talked about it after the game the other day and said that it is a resilient team.
Yep.
And that immediately also makes them harder to play against
It
too.
does.
And you can never get comfortable against them. They've found a way to claw themselves back in. Their record on the season so far is proof of that, not having a regulation loss, being one of the only teams to not have that yet.
Pretty good.
Knowing that they're that dangerous when they can claw themselves back out of that, what happens if that starts earlier?
Right.
What happens if you can get a perfect
Don't
Avs
put yourself
team
in
early?
that spot. Yeah.
And like we already talk about dangerous, this becomes lethal at this point.
Which game is more important in this back-to-back? Is it this one or is it the New Jersey game? Because I get it. New Jersey's the better team. You talk about measuring sticks. I have no doubt we'll bring that up in our pregame tomorrow. But also, if the Avs get a win today, does that not make that New Jersey game a little bit of a free roll?
I don't know about that. I look at this back-to-back and I know exactly which game. If I had to pick one game for the Avs to take out of this with the win, it is New Jersey.
Sure.
And that was going to be my biggest touching point when you talk about measuring sticks.
Yeah.
New Jersey's proven themselves to be a
They're real
fantastic
good.
team in
They're
the Metro.
real good, yeah.
And being able to get some of that in early from the East Coast, I think, is important for the Avalanche because they're so used to seeing Central teams. It's what we're going to see more down the stretch.
Yep.
But getting that in early and being able to kind of take that test and put some of that experimentation to use against teams you're maybe not used to seeing as often, I also think is extremely important. With that said, there's also something to be said about this Boston team in certain areas as well.
Yeah, in a vacuum, New Jersey's more important to me.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's a back-to-back, you never know what you're going to get on the second half, even if the Avs are great at them. And then the other thing that I could be convinced that this game is more important, you don't want to go on a losing streak.
No.
I know it's overtime losses. The Avs are still getting their points, but they've lost 2 in a row. You do not want to lose 3 in a row. If you're a great hockey team, you shouldn't be going on losing streaks.
This is a point I brought up in my post-game for Thursday's game, is getting points is good. But when does it become not enough?
Sure.
And it, like, stacking points early in the season is fantastic and all cool and whatever. But it's still a stain in a way on the record. It's not going in the win column. And 2 points is a lot better than 1 point later down the season.
It is.
And that's the thing that I focus on and don't want the Avalanche to become complacent in, is getting 1 point out of a game is great, but not good enough.
I agree in the long term. If they win today, they have 15 of a possible 18 points, regardless of what happens in New Jersey. This first 10-game stretch, they lock in a 750 points percentage or better. That's really good.
Yeah. No, that's not a best case scenario because obviously that'd be going, perfect on the
20
season.
of 20 is maybe a little unrealistic. Yeah.
But as far as realistic opportunities go, I mean, this is almost as good of a start as the Avalanche could have had, especially given, the hunger that they come into this season with, and that's paying off.
And the Avs are, they maybe weren't as injured as Carolina was the other night, but they haven't had Logan O'Connor. They haven't had Mackenzie Blackwood. Sam Girard goes down. Kiviranta goes down. They're not otherworldly injured like they have been in previous seasons, but it's not like this is the 100% full power Colorado Avalanche, and they're 5-0-3.
Yeah. They're playing on a next man up mentality. Imagine what happens when they are at 100%. Can't tell you. I can't remember the last time the Avalanche were at a 100%.
Maybe never.
Yeah,
I'm not convinced they've ever been fully healthy.
Imagine what that looks like when you do get those guys back, and ideally, you know, this is, I mean, this is the team they hope to go into, you know, playoffs with.
Yep.
This is the team you want to make a run with, and that, in my mind, looking at what Blackwood was able to do when he is healthy, looking what Logan O'Connor was able to do on a, you know, maybe injured hip. Imagine what that comes back looking like. It's a fun little game to play in your head.
Easy to get even hyper somehow on this Avs team. Chat is already busting out their predictions. Let's get our crystal ball out, Bailey. Give me a name, give me a score. What do you got?
I feel like, give me Olofsson.
Okay.
For a goal. If I say it enough times,
he's been so good.
Happen.
It's got to happen
it's
eventually,
go in the
right?
back of the net eventually. I'm getting a higher score out of this one. Give me a 5-3.
Okay, I like it. I am going to take 5-2.
Ooh.
I do think Wedgwood bounces back pretty well today. I say tonight. It's 1 p.m. And then
it's nighttime somewhere, I guess.
I'm taking the cop-out answer until he scores again. I'm taking Nathan MacKinnon.
Okay.
I talked about it the other night. I do think the Avs need a little more out of him based on these last 2 games. That's the life of a superstar. You got to show up and do it every night. So
absolutely.
I'm taking Mac on that one. I think, predicting these games and matinees are so hard. Anything can happen in these things.
I'm going to take this crystal ball a little bit further.
Okay.
0.5 over under on the power play.
I'm going to go
score?
over.
Okay.
I'm taking a power play goal tonight.
Okay.
I think they get one. I want it to be Olofsson, too. I would like it to be him scoring on the power play.
I think if they can get going after testing so many things last game, I've got the over on this as well.
Let's go.
So
hopefully that's a difference maker. We also have our pregame picks presented by Bet365, where things are, of course, never ordinary. I did stick to my guns, and I went more than just 1 goal for Nathan MacKinnon. I said Max getting a hat trick tonight at plus 4,000.
Oh, wow.
So had a little bit of fun with that one. But I also took the Avs to win the first, that good start we talked about. They're plus 140 there. And then it is a matinee game after all. We both had the over with our score predictions. So I'm taking over 6 on that one. You can get your bets in. I started really hot on the bets. I've cooled a little bit, so maybe come up with your own bets and don't follow my dumb choices. But whatever you're feeling, if you want to gamble, make sure you use the DNVR 365 code with Bet365. And if you are 21 or older, physically located in Colorado, you're good to gamble. But if someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. Last couple minutes of pregame here. Bailey, when does Jared Bednar really start to mix his hands into switching up systems significantly? Because we've talked about 5-on-5 has been really good. I don't know how much systems changes there you need. The PK has been really good. I don't know how much system changes there you need. When does the leash start to get yanked on Hackstall, though, if the power play continues to be bad?
If it's still maybe underperforming 2-3 games from now, that's when you start maybe putting a little bit of that pressure on, saying something obviously needs to change here. And I'm not convinced that hasn't already started to happen.
Definitely possible.
So, especially with some of the, in-game changes that we
true.
saw.
You saw them shuffling.
I wonder if that's already started to happen. But if this is still an issue at the end of this upcoming week, I'm starting to get very, very concerned. And I'm thinking Bednar is probably in that boat as well.
All right. Well, just don't go there, Avs. Just fix your power play and score on
the
it.
answer. That's what I'm choosing.
Exactly. Until proven otherwise, that is the answer that we're going with on the power play. Bailey, any final thoughts on this pregame before we jump over to the watch along?
No. Let's go out and get a good start and finish this off.
Love to hear
it.
it.
Jersey.
Avs jumping into this one, looking to go for the season sweep against Boston, and then I guess they play both games against New Jersey too. So kind of weird getting some of
the
these
East out early.
Yeah, full series against the East done.
I don't mind it.
Me neither, to be honest. It's all good, and it's not a bad road trip by any stretch of the imagination either. So Avs are set up in a fine spot. They have to go out and perform. Hopefully they can do it. We're going to wrap up this pregame show. This has been the DNVR Avalanche pregame show, and we will talk to you on the watch along in a few minutes, or join us postgame where we'll break it down no matter what.
We all silly like the mayor.